I used to think I knew what cold was. Growing up in Anchorage, braving blizzards, losing feeling in my hands during morning commutes, none of it meant anything compared to what waited north of the Arctic Circle. But that November, as the Ford Raptor rumbled toward Coffin Ridge, I swear the cold felt like it was watching us. My brother Mason drove like he had something to prove, which, to be fair, he always did. He leaned over the steering wheel, jaw squared, the kind of posture he used to have before a firefight. His breath fogged the windshield even with the truck heater blasting. "Last ride before I ship out again," he said. "We make it count." "You picked the one valley every map pretends doesn't exist," I muttered. He grinned. "Exactly. That was Mason." If a sign said "Do not enter," he kicked the door open and asked who wanted a rematch. We rolled into Coffin Ridge after sunset, if you could call it sunset. Up here, the daylight slips out the back door by mid-afternoon. The town looked abandoned, just 4 buildings, all leaning, all half swallowed by snowdrifts. But the tavern, Last Call, still had a flickering neon sign buzzing like a dying insect. Mason parked. "Come on, F. Let's get a drink before we go make history." I didn't want history. I wanted to go home. Inside, the tavern was warm, dim, and smelled of whiskey and wood smoke. The walls were covered in pelts and old photographs, miners, trappers, dog sled teams. And behind the wooden counter stood the man I'd heard rumors about but didn't believe was real. Old man Silas Crow. Tall for someone pushing 80, with braids running down his shoulders, one eye cloudy and caved in, the other sharp as obsidian. He watched us with the intensity of someone waiting for a bomb to go off. "You boys headed north," he said. Not a question. A diagnosis. Mason slapped his gloves on the bar. Black Hollow. Sunrise. Silas froze. His good eye narrowed. He whispered something in Athabascan under his breath, something that sounded like a warning meant for ghosts. "Sit," he said. "We Saturday." Silas reached below the counter and placed something wrapped in oilcloth in front of us. I unwrapped it carefully. A flare gun. Old. Metal worn like it had been gripped 1,000 desperate times. "This is the only thing that hurts it," Silas said softly. Mason chuckled. "Hurts what? A bear? A moose?" Silas leaned forward. "Boy, if a bear lived in that valley, I'd sleep better at night." His voice dropped to a whisper. "It is not a bear. Not a spirit. Not a demon." He looked directly at Mason. "It is a man who wears the skins of men." The hairs on my arms rose. Mason smirked. "So, what? Native folklore? Skinwalkers? We talking campfire stories now?" Silas slammed his palm on the bar so hard I jumped. "I walked out of that valley in '83 with one eye missing and half my friends dead. Do I look like I'm telling bedtime stories?" Mason didn't smirk after that. Silas rested a trembling hand on the flare gun. "It mimics voices. Anyone you lost. Anyone it wants you to follow. If you hear your mother calling your name," his voice cracked. "Do not answer." Silas looked at us like a man at a funeral. Then he whispered, "The thing in that valley remembers anyone who walks in. And it never stops hunting." Mason pocketed the flare gun anyway. We slept in the tavern loft that night. I didn't sleep well. At dawn we left Coffin Ridge behind, heading deeper into the wild than any sane person would. The Raptor bounced along frozen earth until, around midday, the road gave up trying to fight the ice. The truck sank. Hard. "Oh, come on," Mason groaned. We abandoned it and took the snowmobile the last 70 miles. The higher we climbed, the colder it got. Forecast predicted -15 degrees Celsius. But by the time we reached the ridge overlooking Black Hollow, my eyelashes had frozen together. The moment we crossed the pass, the temperature plummeted like someone had pulled the plug on the world. -42 degrees Celsius. In November. "What the hell?" I whispered. Our breath froze midair. The snow around us wasn't white, it was blue, shimmering, brittle like crushed glass. GPS died first. Phones next. The world fell silent except for the distant groaning of shifting ice. We pitched camp just before the valley dropped away into darkness. The wind screamed all night. Around 1 a.m., Mason sat bolt upright. "You hear that?" he whispered. I did. A voice drifting from the tree line. Soft. Gentle. Familiar. "Maze, sweetheart, come home." My blood turned to ice. "No," I whispered. "It's not her." But Mason stood, grabbed his AR-15, and unzipped the tent. "Mason. Stop." He stepped into the snow, laughing under his breath like he'd been waiting for a fight. "Try harder," he yelled. "If you're gonna pretend to be my mother, at least get the accent right." He fired a burst into the darkness. I tackled him from behind before he walked too far. For the rest of the night, he muttered to himself, twitching like he had sand in his veins. The next morning, I noticed something wrong with his eyes, subtle, but there. A rim of red. A tightness around the pupils. "Mason," I whispered. "Are you feeling okay?" He didn't answer. He only stared into the trees as though something out there had whispered back. On the second day, the storm swallowed half the valley. Visibility dropped to maybe 30 meters. The wind carried ice shards like tiny razors. We pressed on anyway because Mason insisted, and because I knew better than to argue when he got that look. Around noon, Mason stopped. "Do you see her?" he whispered. I followed his gaze. At first I thought it was just blowing snow. Then I saw her. A woman. Barefoot. Thin. Skin pale against the blizzard. Her long black hair floated unnaturally, streaming backward as though pulled by invisible fingers. She stood perfectly still, 300 meters out. Facing away from us. "Mason," I whispered. "Don't." He cupped his hands and shouted, "Hey! You okay?" The woman turned. Her face, if you could call it that, was smooth. Featureless. No nose, no eyes. Just a mouth cut too wide, stretching ear to ear. The smile split open. Rows of teeth. Then she dropped to all fours and ran. Not toward us, but into the tree line. Fast. Too fast. I heard Mason whisper, "Holy shit," but I couldn't move. I felt rooted to the snow, my legs numb with horror. That night, the storm worsened. The tent shuddered under the wind. Our lantern flickered again and again. The cold scraped at our bones. Then, knock, 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 at our tent door. My heart punched my ribs. "Maze," a voice whispered. My voice. "Let me in. I'm freezing." Mason looked at me. His smile spread slowly. Wrongly. "That's not you," he said softly. "No shit, it's not me." I hissed. He reached for the shotgun and a gallon canister of gasoline. "Where are you going?" He grinned like a man walking into a bar fight he knew he wouldn't walk out of. "That thing wants a show? I'll give it one." "Mason, don't." But he zipped the tent open and stepped out. It was waiting. 11 feet tall. Maybe more. Wrapped in a long cloak sewn from stitched together human faces. Some fresh. Some ancient. Some stretched wrong, still wearing frozen expressions of terror. Forearms hung from its sides. Too long. Too jointed. It smelled like rotten cold iron. Its head jerked toward Mason. The mouth in the center of its chest opened first. A scream poured out that wasn't human. Mason didn't flinch. He pumped the shotgun once. "Come on then," he shouted. "You want me? Come get me." It lunged. Everything happened at once. I fired the flare gun. The valley exploded with red light. The creature shrieked, steam boiling from its skin. it didn't let go. Mason slammed the gas can into its torso. "Ethan," he roared. "Light it!" I fired the second flare directly into the gasoline. Fire erupted, white hot in the sub-zero air. The creature convulsed, arms flailing. Mason wrapped his arms around it, holding it in a burning embrace. It lifted him off the ground. "Mason!" I screamed. He looked back at me, face bright with fire and frost. "Run, Ethan," he shouted. "Don't let it wear my face." The creature collapsed backward into the snow, dragging Mason with it. Fire swallowed them both. The screams, both human and not, echoed into the valley until the storm drowned them. I ran. I didn't remember starting the snowmobile. Didn't remember the ride. Only the cold. The terror. The knowledge that something huge and burning was chasing the sound of my engine through the canyon. I barely made it out alive. They found me half frozen 2 days later, babbling nonsense. They found something else too. A tangle of charred skin hanging from a pine tree. Still warm. Still smoking. A human face stretched across it. Mason's. Smiling. That was 1 year ago. It's November again. And tonight I'm going back to Black Hollow. Not to hunt it. Not to end it. Just to make sure it never wears his face again. And as I stand at the valley rim, I hear him. Right behind me. "Morning, little brother, cold out here." When people talk about trauma, they always say it changes you. They don't tell you how. They don't tell you how it crawls into your bloodstream, how it whispers to you at 3 a.m., how it makes you jump every time the house creaks. They don't tell you how the nightmare follows you even when you're awake. Or how sometimes, the nightmare has your brother's voice. For 11 months I tried to pretend that Mason died a hero. That he saved me. That there was nothing I could do. But every night, the last thing he yelled haunted me. "Don't let it wear my face." Every month, on November 15th, same day we entered Black Hollow, I drive back to that ridge and wait. Not because I'm brave. Because I'm terrified of what happens if I don't. Tonight, the storm is late. That's a bad sign. The sky over the valley hangs low and bruised, like something behind the clouds is pushing to get out. The wind groans the way a house does when it's about to collapse. And then, crunch. Footsteps behind me. My hand tightens around the revolver. I don't turn. Turning means acknowledging it. "Morning, little brother," the voice says. "Cold out here. Mason." Or the thing wearing what's left of him. I force myself to breathe. The cold burns my lungs. "You're not him." It laughs, a sound Mason never made. Too sharp. Too empty. "Maybe not," it says. "But you keep coming back, hoping I will be." The shadow moves closer. I can feel it smiling. "Why don't you look at me, Ethan? Afraid you'll see something familiar?" I finally turn. There's nothing there. Just the ridge, the wind, the trees bending under invisible weight. But the voice lingers, drifting away like smoke. "See you soon, brother." I didn't plan to go into the valley tonight. But Black Hollow doesn't care about plans. 30 minutes after the voice disappears, my snowmobile, parked 20 yards uphill, begins to beep. A soft, rhythmic chirp. Motion sensor. Someone, or something, walked past it. I freeze. Listen. The beeping continues, faster now, frantic. Then a second sound joins it. Wheezing. Wet. Guttural. I flick on my headlamp, the beam slicing through the storm. And I see him. Not Mason. A young man. Early 20s. Frostbitten, stumbling, dragging his left leg. Clothes torn. Face swollen from cold burn. He collapses in the snow, hands reaching toward me. "Help, please." I run toward him. He looks up, eyes wild with terror. It took my friends, he gasps. There were 4 of us, snowboarders, just doing footage for a vlog, then something. He starts convulsing. Hey? I drop to my knees beside him. You okay? You're safe. We'll get you warm. His body snaps upright. Bone cracking. A sound slips out of his mouth, a moan, not human, not quite animal. His jaw unhinges an inch too far. His eyes roll back. No, I whisper. No, not again. His throat bulges. Something inside him pushes upward. I grab the flare gun from my belt. Kid, listen to me, fight it, whatever's inside you, fight it. He gags. Then screams. The shape beneath his skin moves fast, down his arm, across his ribs. The skin stretches, thinning, like something underneath is pulling it tight. Then, rip. A hand bursts out of his shoulder. Gray. Elongated. Wrongly jointed. The boy collapses. The hand retracts like it was testing the surface. I fire the flare. The red light floods the snow, painting the forest like a crime scene. The thing inside him screeches and retreats, bones popping as it pulls deeper beneath his ribs. The boy sobs once, whispering, "Kill me." Then he goes still. I stand there, chest heaving, the flare burning down in my hand. And I realize something. The creature isn't hunting just me anymore. Black Hollow is waking up. And it's hungry. I drag the snowmobile under a rocky overhang, shielding it from the wind. The kid's body lies nearby, covered in a tarp I found in my pack. I don't know his name. I don't know what else I could have done. But there's one thing I do know. It's too late to leave. Whatever was inside him is somewhere in the valley now, moving fast, following the heat trail. Following me. The storm thickens. Snow falls sideways, needles of ice stabbing my cheeks. I push deeper into the valley, retracing the same path Mason and I took last year. It feels smaller now. Angrier. Trees bend inward as if leaning to listen. After an hour, something orange flickers through the storm. Fire. I kill the snowmobile engine and let the silence swallow me. At first, all I hear is wind. Then, humming. A low, rhythmic tune. A woman's voice. I raise my rifle. As I approach, I see her, sitting beside a fire, wrapped in a thick parka. She rocks back and forth, humming a lullaby. Her hair is matted, face pale and cracked with cold. I call out. She doesn't turn. I step closer. Carefully. Are you hurt? Do you need help? Her voice cuts off. The humming dies mid-note. Slowly, very slowly, she turns her head toward me. Her face. God. Her cheeks are missing. Just open skin. Teeth bared through a torn cheek, gums black with frost. One eye socket is empty, just a wet hole. The other eye twitches wildly, like it's trying to escape. She smiles. Ethan. My stomach drops. I didn't tell her my name. She stands. Joints crack like dry twigs. Then she drops onto all fours and sprints at me. I fire. The flare catches her directly in the chest. She ignites instantly, blue and red flames twisting around her as she shrieks and thrashes. She falls into the fire, burning, collapsing. But the scream doesn't come from her throat. It comes from her back. From something beneath her skin. Something crawling. Trying to get out. I don't stay to see if it succeeds. I run. The storm hits its peak within minutes. Whiteout. I can barely see my own hands. The wind lifts snow off the valley floor in massive sheets, erasing everything behind me. I feel watched. Followed. Hunted. Every few seconds I hear the footsteps behind me, muffled by the blizzard but still too heavy to be human. Every time I shine my flashlight back, there's nothing. Just the storm. Just the valley breathing. Then, Ethan. I freeze. My flashlight flickers. A whisper drifts through the blizzard, low, cracked, intimate. Come home, little brother. Mason's voice. Not the one I remember. This one is wet. Rotting around the edges. I squeeze my eyes shut. It's not him, I whisper. It's not him, it's not. Then the voice changes. Deeper. Rougher. Answer me. The snow groans behind me. Something tall moves through the storm, slow, deliberate. I turn. The silhouette towers above the tree line. 11 feet. Maybe more. A coat made of stitched skin flaps in the wind. For long arms sway like puppet strings. And dangling from its chest. A face. Burned. Charred. Still smiling. Mason. The creature steps forward, each footfall shaking loose snow from branches. Brother, it croaks. I step back, boots slipping on ice. You're not him. The head tilts sideways, too far, like a broken doll. Then why do you keep coming back? The storm swirls around us, a vortex of white and silence. It lifts one of its long arms. A familiar object dangles between its claws. A leather bracelet. Mason's. The same one he wore every day since he was 16. I feel like my chest is collapsing. Give that to me, I whisper. It lowers the bracelet toward the snow. Then crushes it in its hand. Bones crack inside me, grief, rage, something dark. The creature watches me tremble. Then it smiles, Mason's smile stretched across stolen skin. You came to burn me, it says. But now? I want to wear you. It lunges. I dive into the snow, rolling behind a fallen spruce. Its claws slice through the tree, sending splinters exploding into the air. I fire the flare gun. The blast illuminates the storm, and for one split second, I see its true face under the cloak. Not one face. Not two. Dozens. Pressed together. Sewn. Layered. Like a mosaic of stolen identities, all screaming inside its skin. The flare fades. Darkness crushes back in. The creature roars, the sound rattling my bones. I only have one flare left. One chance. I run, blind, freezing, heart splitting under every step. Behind me, I hear its claws scraping the ice. Closer. Closer. The storm thins just enough to reveal something massive ahead. Something I remember. A shape rising from the valley floor. The ruins of our old campsite. The exact place Mason died. The fire-blackened circle. The twisted metal of a melted gas can. The scorched imprint of something enormous burned into the snow. And in the center, a single pine tree. The same one where they found Mason's face last year. The creature emerges behind me, towering, skin cloak billowing. It spreads its four arms. Welcome back, Ethan. I raise the last flare. And for the first time in 11 months, I stop running. Come and get me. The creature screams. And charges. Snow is supposed to be quiet. Light. Soft. But in Black Hollow, it makes noise. It hisses when it touches your skin. It whispers when the wind blows through it. And when something enormous moves under the surface, it growls. The creature charges me with the force of a falling building. I barely dive aside before one of its four arms slams into the ground where my chest had been. The snow explodes upward, a geyser of ice crystals and rotted skin. I hit the ground hard, roll, and fire the last flare directly into its torso. For a split second, the world becomes nothing but red. The flare blooms like a miniature sun. The creature shrieks, the stitched faces across its cloak stretching and writhing. Flesh smolders. Its chest cavity splits open for an instant, revealing something beneath. Something pulsing. Something black. Something alive. Then the light dies. And it keeps coming. I sprint to the charred tree where Mason's remains were found last year. Snow crunches under my boots. My lungs feel like they're filling with broken glass. "Come on, Mason," I whisper, not sure why I'm saying it. "Help me. Just once more, help me." Behind me, the monster roars. I grab the fuel canister I stashed here 2 hours ago, my monthly ritual. I splash gasoline across the snow, across my hands, across the tree. The fumes sting my nose. The creature slams into me from behind. Pain explodes across my back. I fly forward, skidding across the ice. The gas can rolls away. My flashlight cracks, plunging everything into near darkness except for the faint blue glow from the storm. I try to stand and scream. One of its claws is embedded in my calf. The creature lifts me like a butcher lifting a piece of meat. My leg tears open. Warm blood runs down into the snow. It dangles me upside down, bringing my face level with its chest. With Mason's face. Burned. Melted. Stitched into place. Still smiling. The creature's voice vibrates through its stolen skin. "Come home, Ethan." Another voice answers from deeper beneath the flesh. Mason's. Broken. Twisted. Dying inside it. "Run. Ethan, run." I want to vomit. I want to faint. I want to die. But I don't. Not yet. Because I finally understand. It keeps the faces alive. Keeps the voices alive. Keeps the memories alive. It doesn't just wear them. It feeds on them. And it wants mine next. The creature tightens its grip around my ankle. Bone cracks. I scream as it pulls me closer to its chest. "No, no, no, no." Then, behind us. Boom. A flare explodes in the air. Not mine. I twist toward the sound. And through the blizzard strides Old Man Silas Crow. He shouldn't be alive. Not out here. Not at 78. Not in a storm like this. But there he is, fur coat whipping in the wind, braids full of frost, one eye shining like a winter star. He holds a sawed-off flare launcher I've never seen before, bigger, older, metal-scorched from decades of use. He fires again. A blazing white flare arcs into the storm, exploding above us, bathing the valley in ghostly light. Silas screams. "Drop the boy, you thief of flesh." The creature hisses and drops me into the snow. My leg buckles beneath me. Silas aims again. The creature leaps into the air. Silas fires. The flare catches its left side mid-air, igniting an entire section of its skin cloak. Dozens of faces scream as flames consume them. The monster crashes into a boulder, shaking the earth. Silas doesn't hesitate. He runs. Straight toward it. "Ethan. Move." I try to stand, but my leg collapses. Silas reaches me and drags me behind the charred pine. "What the hell are you doing here?" I gasp. "Should have killed that thing in 83, Silas pants. Didn't. My mistake." He loads another flare. Hands shaking. "It's stronger now," he mutters. "Too many skins. Too many souls." He hands me a second launcher. "Can you shoot?" My leg. "Can you shoot?" I rack the flare. "Yes." Silas grins. "Good. Because we're ending this tonight." The creature rises from the snow, flames peeling from its body. It screams, dozens of voices overlapping like a broken choir. Then it charges. Silas fires first. I fire a heartbeat later. 2 flares streak across the air. Both hit. The creature convulses. Arms flailing. Faces twisting in agony. The fire clings to it, red, white, blue like burning magnesium. But it doesn't fall. It lunges for Silas. He swings the empty launcher like a club. It shatters against the creature's arm. The monster grabs him. Lifts him. Silas roars and spits into its face. "You took my eye," he snarls. "But you won't take my land." The creature opens its mouth, wide, too wide, to swallow him whole. I fire my last flare. It hits the side of its head. The monster screams so violently the snow lifts off the ground in a shockwave. Silas falls. The creature stumbles. Its cloak catches completely, turning into a curtain of flame. I try to stand, but my leg gives out again. My vision blurs. Spots dance across my eyes. Then, Silas grabs my arm. "Listen," he growls. "There's only one way to kill a skinwalker." He shoves a heavy metal canister into my hands. A thermite grenade. "Burn it from the inside." He pulls the pin. "Crow, no." He stuffs the grenade into my hands and shoves me away with surprising strength. The creature charges him. Silas doesn't run. He charges back. They collide, a tangle of limbs and flame and screaming faces. The monster lifts him into the air, claws sinking into his ribs. Silas laughs, actually laughs. "You ain't wearing my skin, monster." He jams the thermite grenade into the creature's chest cavity. And looks at me one last time, his one good eye blazing. "Finish it, Ethan." The grenade ignites. Light erupts, white hot, blinding. The creature howls, thrashing. The faces across its cloak melt, liquefying like wax. Silas disappears in the explosion. The creature sways. Flames pour out of its mouth, its eyes, the seams in its stolen skin. It takes one step toward me. 2. 3. And collapses. Burning. Convulsing. Dying slow. But not dead. Not yet. I crawl through the snow, dragging my bleeding leg, toward where the creature fell. It's a smoldering giant, its bones glowing through the burning skin. Faces melt and slide off into the snow. But one face remains almost intact. One I know. Mason. It hangs from a piece of darkened tissue, barely attached, lips moving faintly. Ethan. I freeze. Tears blur my vision. Mason. His eye twitches. His burned mouth struggles to form words. "Help me." "No," I whisper. "No, I can't, I." Behind his face, beneath the charred skin, something moves. Black veins ripple outward, reaching for me. Trying to learn my shape. Trying to mimic my voice. Trying to survive. And I finally understand. The last piece of Mason inside it. Whatever tiny spark remained. It wasn't calling for help. It was warning me. Burn me. I lift the flare gun. Only one shot left. The creature tries to rise, what's left of its limbs twitch, bones cracking. I aim the flare at Mason's face. "I'm sorry," I whisper. "I'm so sorry." The flare fires. Red light consumes him. Consumes the monster. Consumes the valley. The shriek that follows is not human. Not animal. Not of this world. Then silence. Real silence. The creature collapses into a heap of ash and liquefied bone. Black Hollow stops breathing. The storm begins to calm. It's over. I wake up in a hospital bed. A ranger found me 3 miles south of the valley. My leg nearly frozen, my ribs cracked, my fingers frostbitten. They say another hour would have killed me. They ask what happened. I tell them the truth. They tell me I'm in shock. They tell me grief does strange things to the mind. They tell me no such valley exists by that name. And then they tell me something else. They found 2 bodies near Coffin Ridge. Both burned. Both missing large portions of skin. Both unidentifiable. One was very old. One was very tall. They look at me like they expect me to explain. I don't. How could I? It's November again. 1 year after I burned the creature. 2 years after Mason died. I stand at the edge of Black Hollow. The snow is quiet tonight. No voices. No shadows. No stolen faces. The valley feels empty. Peaceful. I turn to leave. Then, behind me, right behind me, a whisper. Ethan. My blood turns to ice. But it's not Mason's voice. It's dozens of voices.